This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Pursue Fitness, and I'm joined by light heavyweight contender Hosea Burton. Hosea, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
It's good to hear. Obviously, I've just timed you perfectly arriving as you've just finished your session. Just talking about how things are going at the minute. I know you're ticking over, waiting to announce your next fight.
Things are going pretty good. I'm pretty fit, just staying ready. Just waiting on a date really for my next fight.
What can you tell us with regards to the next day? What have you got lined up?
I'm not sure what I've got lined up. Maybe October I'll be out next. I'm hoping October, maybe a little bit before that. In an ideal world, I'd like to be out beginning of September, then out in October.
It's been a really frustrating couple of years for you since the Buglioni fight. Did you ever envisage that after that bout, everything would have worked out in the way that it has, that you would struggle to find an opponent of at least a British level? No disrespect to anyone you fought, but obviously I know that you would have had those ambitions to push on after Buglioni.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about the last few opponents. They've been not very good at all. After that Buglioni fight, you would have thought that would have been the door getting opened really, because it was a contender for the fight of the year. It was a fight I was well in control of. Okay, I got beat in the last round. I think that was through a little bit of inexperience, but you think I wouldn't have been... Well, I've been locked out, haven't I, really? I've been locked out the door. Can't get back in. So what it is I've had now 25 fights, I've won 24 of them, and nobody really wants to fight me because I'm such a hard fight with not much reward to win at the moment. Maybe when I win a belt, I'll get a few more fights coming up.
Do you think that's what it will take for your career to kind of kick on once again? You need to have a belt around your waist to make yourself a bit more of an attractive proposition for potential opponents?
Yeah, well, Joe says if you've got a belt, you're in work. You've got no belt, it's a hard road back in. And exactly right, because it took 2.5 years, coming up 3 years now, that Buglioni fight, and I'm no further forward. I'm actually still further behind than I was after that fight. So I do need a belt before I'll get any chances from anywhere, because people who've seen that fight and knows boxing knows I'm a big threat to the British boxing and even world boxing.
What's this experience been like for yourself, this sense of not necessarily inactivity, but not being able to put yourself in against the other higher level opposition that you would like to go up against? How disheartening has it been for you?
Do you know, it's been heartbreaking. You know, you train really hard because you think you're going to get a date, and then no date comes, so you have a little bit of a break. You train hard again, thinking, right, there's going to be a light here now. Hopefully, look, there's a new season starting. Hopefully this is the season. I feel as I'm being robbed of my best years. I feel as I was just coming into prime when I lost. 2 years later, I've still not had a chance to show where I'm at. But who knows, this year could be the big year.
You just mentioned you're trying to keep yourself going. This year could be the big year for yourself. How do you find trying to stay motivated despite the lack of opportunities that you've had since Buglioni?
You've got to stay motivated, because if you don't stay motivated, you're never going to get paid. So if you go in not motivated and you go and get beat, well, then you're never going to get paid. So you've got to be motivated to try to earn some money out of the game. If you go in and get beat, you're going nowhere. So you've got to stay motivated. I've got 4 children now, and I've got to feed them. So that's my motivation. Try to feed them, try to clothe them, keep them from being the little scruffy kids, you know what I mean, don't you? You've got to try to do the best you can for your family.
We see a lot of stories breaking out nowadays with regards to boxers who, when they don't get the right opportunities, they either hang up their gloves or they'll go for years of inactivity just waiting for that chance. Have you ever put yourself into that mind frame where if this chance doesn't come, then I should maybe look to step aside, go down a different form of work? Or
the thing is with me, I'm in too deep. What do I do now? Boxing's really all I know at the minute. So do I waste... I started when I had my first fight at 11. I'm coming 31. So there's 20 years of boxing. So do I throw all that away now when the next 12 months could be my year? I've got a younger brother, Zach, who's way more talented than me. He won maybe 8 or 9 national amateur titles. I've disheartened him because he's looked at what I've done. He said, I just can't afford to take that gamble. You know, Zach would have been British, European, maybe world champion, but because he's in the position I'm in after 7 or 8 years of professional boxing, he's packed it in. So it is very disheartening, but I'm too far deep. I'm too deep in.
Where would you rank yourself amongst the likes of the Josh Buatsis, Anthony Yards, Craig Richards, Jake Balls, etc.? You know, the light heavyweight division in Britain itself is booming. You know, which is why it makes it so surprising that the opportunities just haven't actually fallen for yourself. Where would you rank yourself amongst those names and all the others in the division domestically?
Number 1. I'm guaranteed the best light heavyweight in Britain, and I'll fight any of them to prove it.
Just to get your thoughts then on a couple of fights looking like to happen. Obviously, Yarde Kovalev only a couple of weeks away. I spoke to you previously about it, and you've said yourself you never saw it happening. A lot of people still don't think it might not happen because there's talks of maybe Canelo stepping in to face Kovalev and then the title becoming vacant, etc. What's your take on the fight now? We're only 2 weeks away.
Don't believe it until it happens. I've heard Kovalev got arrested on the plane the other day for being drunk, feeling up the air hostess. So if he's drinking, which I've heard he's doing a lot of drinking, I wouldn't believe it until they're in the ring.
If the fight was to go ahead, how do you think it would play out?
In realistic terms, Kovalev should punch his face in. But is Kovalev the man we know? Obviously, if he's on the vodka, he's not the man that we knew 12 months, 2 year, 5 year even ago when he bashed up Cleverly. You know, if it was that Kovalev would win easily. But is it that man? If I had to fight one of the world champions now, I'd want Kovalev because we don't know how he is. We've heard he's a big drinker, so I still think Kovalev will win and win by knockout, but depends what Kovalev we get.
And another fight which it hasn't officially been announced, but talks have seemed to have been going on for a while. Beterbiev versus Gvozdyk in a unification fight. How do you think that one would play out? Beterbiev fighting one of your campmates as well, Callum Johnson previously?
That'd be a brilliant fight. You know, the light heavyweight division at the minute in the world level is absolutely booming. Every one of them world champions is good enough to unify it. You know, that fight I wouldn't know who was going to win. Beterbiev, if that's how you say his name, is massive puncher, great skills, maybe a bit chinny. So he could win easily, he could win by knockout, he could get chinned himself, who knows? It's just a booming light heavyweight division at the moment.
Just want to link back, I know I mentioned Callum Johnson. When you saw that he got that world title fight against Beterbiev, at the time he was active, obviously Callum had just come back, he'd spent a couple of years away from the ring. When you look at it from that perspective, was that disheartening in itself? I don't really want to go back over what we have talked about, but it just kind of popped into my head. What was your thoughts on that? Did that ever cross your mind?
No, I was over the moon that Callum got his chance, because Callum's a great friend of mine, and I would love him to be a world champion. Obviously I'd love myself to be a world champion as well, but you know, I was over the moon he got his chance, and he done well, he done very well. He maybe froze just a little bit, because I know how good he can be. He knows how good he can be, but I hope Callum goes and wins a world title, but when he wins it I hope he gives me a voluntary. That's the only way we'd fight each other as well, by the way. If I was a world champion and I was giving him a voluntary, or vice versa.
And finally, just before I do let you shoot, Tyson Fury, reportedly his next opponent's going to be Otto Wallin, Swedish guy. What are your thoughts on that fight if it was to happen? I know you're very good friends with Tyson.
Well, more than just good friends. Tyson's the best heavyweight in the world by a million miles, so I think Tyson could beat every Swedishman who ever boxed in the same night. So Tyson's just a league above all the rest of the heavyweights, so it shouldn't be much of a fight, I wouldn't imagine.
And finally, just before I do let you go, in fact, I know I just said the last one was going to be my last question, but reports are surfacing as well that Anthony Joshua's rematch with Andi Ruiz Jr. will take place in Saudi Arabia. What would be your thoughts if that was to be the case?
Well, Saudi Arabia, it's going to be, I'd imagine it'd be really hot. With Ruiz being a Mexican who's used to the really hot weather, I'd get Ruiz over here. If I was Joshua and I was wanting to win that fight, I'd get Ruiz to England, I'd get him to the O2 and I'd do a number on him. Obviously Joshua can really, really fight, okay, there was something wrong with Joshua that night when he got beat. You could tell the body language wasn't right. He had the gum shield out of his mouth. He usually walks around the ring like he owns the ring. He never that night, he just stood in the corner like a little bit like a scared rabbit. So I do think if Joshua fights him again, Joshua wins in 4 rounds, but the same thing could happen if he has to travel. So,
Well, Hosea Burton, I've kept you for long enough. I know you want to shoot off now. So as always, thanks for being Boxing Social.
yes, no problem. Thanks a lot.